Vector buffering is a powerful tool and implemented through the ARC toolbox. Now there's two kinds of buffering we typically apply. There's a variable distance buffer where we use an attribute, and then a fixed distance buffer. Now the buffer tool is found in the ARC toolbox under the analysis tools, proximity, and then buffer, and a double left click will open it. You have to specify the input features and the output features, and then whether you want a fixed or variable distance, and if it's variable, what is the field value. So we're doing a fixed distance buffer here, and I'm typing in the units, in this case in meters, but I can pick them, and setting the dissolve type to all. Now this is important. And you get a buffer where you see it's a fixed distance perimeter around each of the input features, so small lakes and big lakes. In this case, we specified a distance, and we have polygons that are joined for each of those. Now we can do a variable distance buffer where we specify the input and output, but instead of a fixed linear units, we use a buffer field, in this case buffer distance, which has different distances. Again, we set all as our dissolve option, and we see we get a variable distance buffer with a bigger distance around the big lakes and a smaller distance around the small lakes, as specified in that buff distance variable. We could have reversed it and had bigger buffers around smaller lakes. You can see here the difference where we have the fixed in the green around the small lake and the variable in the blue. In this case, the variable distance is smaller, but if we shift over to a larger lake, in this case the mid-size, we can see now the variable distance is larger, so it depends on the feature and what it had in the attribute table. And you can see there again that that buffer distance varies, the rightmost column, as a function of each feature. So we set that up. Now what happens if we don't dissolve? This is something that we usually don't want to do. Sometimes we do for a specific problem, but in most cases not. So here I'm specifying a fixed distance buffer with a distance of 200 meters, and I'm showing then that all the input and output is okay, but I'm not going to dissolve. I'll leave that dissolve type to none. Well, I get a separate overlapping polygon for each of the lakes, and these aren't planar, these aren't topologically planar, so they occur one above another in space. You can see here then as I left click and select on these individual buffers around each lake, the polygons overlap. It's usually not a good thing.